Abhay, you want to start?
Yes, sir. It's 5, we'll start. Hello and welcome to this book discussion at the Pune International Center. We are honored to have with us Dr. Sam Pitroda and Dr. Vijay Bhatkar, two stalwarts of the Indian IT and telecom revolutions. We also have with us Dr. Raghunath Mashelkar, National Research Professor, former Director General CSIR and President Pune International Center, to discuss Dr. Sam Pitroda's latest book, Redesign the World, a Global Call to Action. This is the book that we are discussing. Dr. Pitroda Padma Bhushan is well known to all of us as the architect of India's technology and telecom revolutions. As advisor to Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, Mr. Pitroda led 6 technology missions related to telecom, water, literacy, immunization, dairy production, and oilseeds. He was also the founder and the first chairman of India's Telecom Commission. The rest, as we know, is a part of history. We cannot fail to mention that Dr. Pitroda invented the electronic diary in 1974, the mobile wallet in 1996, and set up CSAM Inc., which was acquired by MasterCard in 2013. He is renowned as an international development thinker, policymaker, inventor, and entrepreneur, with around 20 honorary PhDs and close to 100 worldwide patents. Dr. Pitroda says in his book that the world was last designed 75 years ago with organizations such as the UN, World Bank, IMF, NATO, and WTO. That design has outlived its utility, and hyperconnectivity and COVID-19 pandemic now give us an opportunity to redesign the world and take humanity to the next level. He has dedicated this book to his grandchildren and to the children of the world, and it begins with Gandhiji's talisman, essentially to policymakers: think whether your actions benefit the poorest and the weakest person. Chairing today's event is Dr. Vijay Bhatkar, Padma Bhushan, the eminent architect of India's first supercomputer Param, which was developed here in Pune. Dr. Bhatkar is distinguished alumnus of IIT Delhi, from where he did his PhD. He is National President of Vigyan Bharati and Chancellor Nalanda University. Dr. Bhatkar has deep interests in the synergies between science, development, and spiritualism. I wish to welcome all our guests today, and we will first have the opening remarks by Dr. Mashelkar, followed by an introduction to the book by Dr. Pitroda and a conversation between Dr. Pitroda and Dr. Bhatkar. You are welcome to post your questions in the question box, after which we will have the Q&A session and Dr. Bhatkar will give us his concluding remarks. May I now request Dr. Mashelkar to present his opening remarks. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Abhay, and a very, very warm welcome to you all. Very warm welcome to Sam. It's a very early morning for him. I can see him sipping coffee at 6:30 in the morning. Very grateful to you for your presence, although virtually. And for me personally, to see both Sam as well as Dr. Vijay Bhatkar in the same frame is a great joy, great happiness, really an emotional moment, because these are the builders of modern India. I'll say a few words about Sam. He has been a very, very close friend, a very dear friend. To me, he's a timeless inspirator, a charismatic, motivational leader, a great technopreneur. We all know about his serial entrepreneurship, a really unique icon. And if you see his entire life, it has been marked by a rebellion. He has been a crusader with a true visionary zeal. India will be always grateful to him for connecting 1 billion people of India. You know, that's why he's considered, of course, as a father of telecommunication. We talk about digital India today, but it all began with Sam's leadership. We talk about Green Revolution and give credit to M.S. Swaminathan, C. Subramaniam. We talk about White Revolution, give credit to Kurian, Varghese Kurian, but we have to talk about connectivity revolution. And Sam, you are the one who sort of brought it to India. You always believed in technology has to be used for transformation, and innovation has to be for impact. I think, particularly for the younger lot of the audience, it will be very difficult to imagine what conditions we had in late 80s, for example. And people had given up because they were looking at tele-density, which was so low, and to build it to a capacity where people will be connected was impossible. But as I said, Sam is an innovator. Innovator is one who sees what everybody else sees, but thinks of what nobody else thinks. So he looked at not increasing tele-density as a solution, but access as a solution. The STDs and PCOs of this world, the young generation of today doesn't know about it. I have been very fortunate to have been associated with him since mid-80s. We are both members of Science Advisory Council to the Prime Minister. We share some old photographs. And in each photograph I see Sam, you and I always sat together. It is incredible. It's not a coincidence. It was probably by design. You have built institutions like CDOT, CDAC, and so many others, but you yourself are an institution. I was very fortunate when you chaired the National Innovation Council, Prime Minister's National Innovation Council. I was a member of that, and what we have been able to do then as a chairman of National Knowledge Commission, what you did was again incredible. Abhay mentioned about the 6 technology missions that he talked about. But there's the other side of your story. You really represent innovation, compassion, and passion. And that compassion actually has led you to have a number of NGOs where you are looking for social causes, like University of Transdisciplinary Health Science and Technology, revitalization of local health traditions. In some way, I was associated while we reviewed that. Then your Global Knowledge Initiative for knowledge partnerships, or India Food Banking for food security of India, and Action for India, and so on and so forth. I would just say this, that big dreams coupled with big determination has been Sam's hallmark. Dreaming Big, My Journey to Connect India is a fascinating book. You must read that. And you can see in that he talks about connectivity. And new book now, The Redesign of the World, he talks about hyperconnectivity and a global call for action. I must say, Sam, I must thank you for giving me the privilege in March itself to have a look at the book. And I still remember it was very hard to express my feelings in a few words. And I will just read out those words. I couldn't summarize it better. I had written about the book, truly riveting narration of the rapidly evolving redesign of the hyper-connected world, the cogently argued prediction of exciting new socio-political and economic architecture is as exciting as it is inspiring, an absolute must-read. So I don't want to take the thunder away from the book. I'll invite the thunder himself, my dear friend Sam, to take the stage. Sam.
Thank you, Dr. Maselkar. I normally call him Ramesh. Thank you for your very generous comments. Also, thank you for the initiative that you took to organize this meeting. I remember you and I had a brief 30-second conversation, and you said, don't worry, I'll get it organized. And here we are. So once again, Dr. Maselkar, Dr. Bhatkar, distinguished participants, so-called intellectuals of India in Pune. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Chicago. It is indeed a special privilege and honor for me to be with you, especially with Dr. Maselkar and Dr. Bhatkar on this Zoom call to talk about my book, Redesign the World, a call to global action. Like all of us, I was also locked up during Corona crisis for almost 18 months. During that time, I decided to do something that could keep me busy and at the same time help keep my sanity in check. So I started reviewing all that I had done. And this idea has been on my mind for many, many years. And I felt the best way to use my time is to put down my thoughts related to this redesign idea that has been with me for over a decade. World was designed just about the time I was born. I was born in British Raj in 1942. US-led design ultimately gave birth to UN, World Bank, NATO, WTO, WHO, IMF, and at the same time created measurements like GDP, GNP, per capita income, balance of payment, trade deficit, and others for world to follow. Then world was in ruin. Japan had to be rebuilt. Europe has to be rebuilt. And everyone accepted this design as a starting point to revive recovery from the World War II. And this design became sort of a standard for rule-based system world over. It is indeed a great contribution from America. But then world was divided. You had a bipolar world with US on one side, Soviet Union on the other side. US design was predominantly focused on democracy, human rights, capitalism, consumption, and military. Soviet Union design was exactly opposite, except they also were building military power as their core foundation. But they did not believe in democracy, human rights, capitalism, or consumption. This design has done pretty well. Peace has prevailed, growth has increased, technology has been sort of very effective. It has become pervasive. Infant mortality has improved. Longevity has increased. And millions of people have been lifted out of poverty. But at the same time, some major challenges still remain to be solved. Environmental blunder is right in front of us. This year, it was more visible than ever before, with all kinds of floods all over, heat waves, cyclones, tornadoes, and the damage is done with the environmental crisis continues to increase. We talk about global warming. We have discussed this for 20 years, but haven't really made a dent. We still have problems related to poverty, hunger, violence, and somehow we have not been able to address larger problems of inequality. So when I look at the design, I realize this design doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work because we do live in a hyper-connected world. For the first time in the human history, we are all connected. What does this connectivity mean to human civilization going forward? Unfortunately, today we use this connectivity to do the same things we have been used to doing, little better, little cheaper, little faster. But we have not learned to do things that we have never done before with hyperconnectivity. Hyperconnectivity democratizes knowledge and information, decentralizes decision-making, including an opportunity for decentralization of democracy, empowering every human being, educating every human being, and it also demonetizes services. Like Uber has shown that you don't have to own a car in some major metropolitan areas. Education is going to be cheaper with hyperconnectivity. Health services are going to improve. And hyperconnectivity is having impact on everything we do today. From products to markets, delivery, distribution, shopping, retail, banking, education, health, governance. There is nothing that I know of that doesn't get affected by hyperconnectivity. Then the question is, how can we live with the design which is 80-year-old? During Corona crisis, we have realized that we are all interconnected, interwoven, interdependent, interrelated. What happens in one part of the world affects everybody. Nothing that one can say is isolated. To me, the idea of nationalism itself needs to be thought in terms of digital nationality. What does it mean to be a digital national? So Corona crisis tells me that there are only two important things in this world. One is planet, and two, people. We must take care of planet because we need planet. Planet doesn't need us. Planet is in pain because of environmental blunder. Air we breathe is not pure. Water we drink is not pure. Look at what we have done to our ocean, to our fish. The mountains of plastic in the ocean. And we have really created major climate crisis. People are in pain because they are not treated with dignity and respect. Our world is not inclusive. People are in pain because of inequality. Very few people have lots of wealth and lots of people don't have enough to eat. I was in San Francisco a month ago. Housing prices have skyrocketed everywhere. San Francisco has largest number of millionaire and billionaire probably per square mile. But at the same time, number of homeless on San Francisco streets have increased to a point it is visible everywhere. So inequalities is a major challenge. So when I look at this design, I realize that in the last 80 years, lots of things happened. And I call these tipping points. One, world got decolonized in a very short period of time because of the movement in India led by Mahatma Gandhi. No one ever thought that British Raj would end so quickly from so many countries. Then came rise of China. No one ever thought China would rise the way China has been able to rise in three decades. Fall of Soviet Union, rise of technology. Technology has become pervasive. I always give example to young people that when I came to America in 64, at the age of about 23, I had never used telephone in my life because I never had access to telephone. And if somebody had access to telephone in India, then he was too rich to be my friend. I had never seen television because there were no televisions in India. I had never seen revolving door. I had never seen a doorknob that I saw in America. Now, technology is pervasive. You can see everything on TV and you can experience everything in a shop. Whatever comes in America or any other part of the world is available in India in next 30 days or in Africa in next 60 days. But this technology has also created inequality. And when world became unipolar, we saw a response to unipolar world in the form of 9/11, which changed everything in America. And finally, COVID-19 put the entire world on halt. No one ever thought that something like a small virus in middle of nowhere in China would have huge impact on global economy and put entire world at risk. These 7 tipping points tell me that it is about to rethink. We got to rethink. I sit on a board of an Institute of Design, which is one of the largest design institutes in the world in Chicago. And we talk about design a lot. But then people talk about designing a product, design a process, design a vacuum cleaner, design a car. And I kept saying, why not redesign the world? And that idea gave birth to this book. Today, world has 2 visions. One, American vision, which is predominantly focused on taking the existing design further. 2, you have a Chinese vision, which is about Belt and Road Initiative, Chinese presence in most of the continents with a lot more investment, technology. Both of these visions are based on command and control. Both of these visions are based on being a superpower. What hyperconnectivity tells us that networking is more important. You don't need command and control model. You need model that is based on collaboration, cooperation, and co-creation. So world needs a third model, which is based on networking of nations, which is more based on equality, truth, trust. This model requires whole new thinking. Unfortunately, when we discuss about global challenges today, people automatically assume geopolitical equations, markets, economy, employment, trade, financial markets. No one talks about the real challenges related to global warming, except in some big meetings, or poverty, or health. In this crisis, Corona crisis, not a single global leader has come forward and said, I would reduce my defense budget by 10% to improve my health infrastructure. Today, we spend $2 trillion a year on defense infrastructure. And all we need is $200 billion a year to eliminate hunger from this world. Look at the amount of money spent in Afghanistan. And what was the result? 33 million people in the world, which is 5% of the population. Of course, it is important. But look at the resources spent on 0.5% of the population, as opposed to eliminating hunger all over the world. But this is how the world thinks today. When leaders of G7 and G20 meet, they never talk about poverty, hunger. Now it is fashionable to talk about environmental blunder, but it is just a conversation. They always talk about geopolitical equations, power. They make defense deals. And these leaders are basically marketing agents. Unfortunately, most of the world leaders today are petty politicians with very little concern for the larger cause of humanity. They divide people, they lie, and this goes on and on everywhere, and they are respected. They are celebrated. They are seen as heroes of the world. How can leaders of a nation mislead people? This is the world we live in, because the design itself promotes that kind of leadership. Design promotes somebody who is going to be in power. Design promotes somebody who is a great debater. Design doesn't promote somebody who is a humanist, who worries about planet and people. In that kind of an environment, we need a new design. What is the new design? So I basically felt that we need to build on what we have. We need a design that is evolutionary more so than revolutionary. So if you take the 5 fundamentals, which most of us believe in, at least in 4, we need to extend these fundamentals to the next level to take humanity to next level. So democracy, we need to strengthen democracy. We have a small group where Dr. Maselkar is also one of the leaders, where we meet regularly every Thursday and we talk about challenges faced not only in India, but all over the world. And we realize that we need to strengthen democracy by strengthening, 1, our institutions, 2, allowing civil society to participate in decision making at the table, and 3, creating scientific mindset. So we need to take democracy to inclusion. None of these democracies are inclusive. America is not inclusive because of Black Lives Matter. You go deeper and deeper into the way Blacks have been treated in this country, and you realize how divided this society is. Same in India, more so because of our caste system, because of large population of minority. Our society is also not inclusive. China is not inclusive. Europe is not inclusive. And the list goes on and on. Inclusive society implies dignity and respect for fellow human beings, opportunities, access of the same level for everybody. We need to then look at human rights. I believe human rights are not good enough. We got to provide human needs. Today, we live in an era of surplus. We can produce anything. We got to decide what is that we want to produce. We wind up producing for people who can afford to buy and not for people who need it. You know, we had this Narega scheme. When that scheme was discussed and introduced, a lot of debate about handouts and impact on economy. But you've got to give poor people access to capital, cash. Then only you can lift them. The trickle-down effect hasn't worked, will not work. We need new economy. Capitalism is not good enough. What is that new economy? It is more about decentralization. It is more about focusing on people at the bottom of the pyramid. It is more about bottom-up development. It is more about networking small companies to scale. And there are lots of interesting things. I have a conversation on Clubhouse this Friday with Raghuram Rajan on new economy for 2 hours. Not that we have all the answers, but I think we need to search for solutions in new light. Similarly, consumption is not the answer. I give this example. I have 700 ties. What do I do with 700 ties? How did I get there? Because every time I go to speak somewhere, they give me tie as a gift. And probably a couple of hundred ties I haven't even opened. But you tend to sort of consume during gift giving seasons. And there are many of those. In wedding parties, birthdays, same people who have lots of things get a lot more. And people who need it don't get access to it. So we need conservation and we need sustainability. And finally, military. I hope that the civilization we have today has reached a level where we can sort our differences out across the table. And we don't need nuclear arms to sort our differences. We need more focus on non-violence. Violence begins at home. It's in the community. Violence is on the street. And we need to create non-violent world. All of these things tie together. Inclusion, non-violence, new economy, conservation, sustainability, and human needs. That is the new design. How do you do it? First, you begin conversation. You sensitize people. You broaden the platform. 2, you begin to address the challenges of the existing institutions. Our existing institutions are obsolete. We need new institutions. In 80 years, we have not built one new global institutions. How is that possible? We need new institutions for intellectual property. We need new institutions for courts. We need new institutions for eliminating hunger. We need new institutions on inclusion. There is no global institution on non-violence. So the existing architecture based on vertical silos is obsolete. We need organizational architecture which is based on networking, flat organizational architectures, task-oriented department. Set up a global task on eliminating hunger in 10 years. It will get done. But you got to cut across various organizations to do that. Today, we are all structured in vertical silos, which doesn't work in a hyper-connected world. We need maybe global constitution. Ultimately, we may need global nationality, but that's a way out. But today, you cannot draw borders. Borders are in your mind. Today, as digital citizens, you don't have to have loyalty to one nation. You have to have loyalty to your planet and our people. You got to go beyond narrow vested interest. All we can do is have a new conversation. And you have given me an opportunity for that conversation. I appreciate and thank everyone, especially Dr. Maselkar, Dr. Bhatkar, Abhay, and others. And I hope we can begin new conversation. I do not have all the answers. I may not be alive to see the results, but that cannot stop me from planting seeds. I look forward to learning more from you. And I look forward to have a good conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. A deeply thought-provoking introduction to your book and your thoughts and ideas. May I request Dr. Bhatkar to please initiate the conversation with Dr. Pitroda.
Yes, Abhay. I such a privilege, such a pleasure to participate in this conversation. I have known Sam for a long time. I remember the days in the mid-80s when Sam initiated that the R&D system that is in the country that we are pursuing since independence is outdated, and he brought a new energy, new vision to our research and development, which he thought, and later on we all thought, is so critical for the growth of nations or growth of societies. He came up with the idea of CDOT. We are known Center for Development of Telematics. Telematics itself was a new word. I think came from the French word telematics, and he initiated a new design for our R&D institutions. Most R&D people, including in IITs, including our research and development centers, which were rising at that time, and never thought that the research and development has to be mission oriented. And he brought this issue of mission to our thinking, to our research and development, to our the path which you want to choose. In a mission, I think you have a clear identified goal, you have clearly identified resources, and you have a roadmap before you, and that has to be accomplished in a given time. This was not known to India. I think CDOT brought that culture, and I've been observing CDOT's development, and as you know, that when CDAC was Center for Development of Advanced Computing was conceived after the denial of the United States giving us a supercomputer, it was exactly modeled on this and going further. I think we are all thankful to him to really giving a new vision for our research and development institutions and how to build such institutions actually and how one can accomplish something not possible otherwise, this kind of thing. So Sam, I think for this inspiration, we all R&D people are thankful to you to bring these things. Later on, this was extended to 6 technology missions, which are entrusted with you by Rajiv Gandhi, and we saw the results emerging from that. Now, today you spoke with, I think, your heart, what needs to be done, because you are one person who always thought, I think, dreamed very big, dreamed, and never shied away from taking challenges. The challenge which you are addressing today is not of a particular country, particular society, or a particular things to be technological things to be accomplished, like going on the moon. You are talking about redesigning the world. I think nobody has boldly spoken upon redesigning the world itself, and that needs to be done. You, I think, underscore today said very boldly, our institutions are outdated. All world institutions are outdated. You're very well thought of, the grand design, and in India also, if you look at, we come out with grand plans, and soon they become outdated. This kind of things. As usual, you brought out very boldly the points which you wanted to make to our leaders, to all of us, and there are very fundamental issues which we must address, and that is the gigantically at the earth level, at the earth scale, the entire, not to a particular country or a particular society or a particular institution. So I think, as usual, you came out with a very inspiring, and also agreeing that we have failed as a humanity. I think most people, as you said, most leaders, I think, are very shy away from our failures. But you always said that I have done this mistake. And today also you said that kind of thing. There is so much to be done, and so big challenges to be taken, but you always dreamed big that we can take these challenges, I think, and we don't have answers. I think one thing one must be humble, that we don't have answers to. But that this is a challenge itself, admitting and attempting it boldly. I think it has been your way of doing things. I got this book actually some few days back, but I could in my hands only 2 days back. I quickly, I think, browsed through it. I sift the pages, and one after another, I think it was such, Dr. Mashelkar has used the right word, it was a riveting many thoughts in this book are really riveting, I think. And it made me think that really we have to think about our nations, our societies, our institutions. I was just reading that we have 1,000 universities. From nothing, we came out. You have been the chairman of the National Knowledge Commission. I think that laid the foundation of creating new universities and what should be done. And you came out with a blueprint. But today we have 1,000 universities. Can they solve the problem? Are the universities aware that even such problems exist? And how we are going to solve them? Because we are doing so many PhDs now all over the world. India has also started doing so many PhDs because without PhD you cannot go to be a professor or a teacher in the university. But can these PhDs create new knowledge for the new world that is emerging? So you have raised these questions. I wish that we had so many ideas on National Knowledge Commission, what our knowledge institutions have to be created, how we have to get ready for them. And of course, we often talk, we require a new political system itself. You are never faced to face that challenges whenever your dialogues with them. I know the members of parliament and all things like that used to raise this question. Do you understand your constituency? Do you understand your responsibilities? Straightway used to ask them questions and they had no answers. And we still don't have those answers. So reading this book has been an experience for me. Though I not read line by line, I could not do it because the time was not so much time was not available to it. But it has inspired me immensely. This book, and I will urge to all the people who are away where I think the book should be made available to everybody. Mr. whoever is interested it is in the bookstores now already, this one. But this book will, I think, inspire many people. It must be inspire first to begin with myself. I think before I talk about, when I was thinking about redesigning the word redesigning, how are you going to redesign? And you said that your inspiration has been, like all of us, Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi said this kind of thing. There is one magic, there is one tasma, which you can do that. Begin from yourself. I think that is the thing. You start from yourself. That magic is within you. If you start kind of things, and that's how we have to begin. And then anything can be accomplished. I think that is the message. And you are inspired by Mahatma Gandhi, and you mention it again and again about Mahatma Gandhi's. Your book is full of, I think, the quotes from Mahatma Gandhi, which are so penetrating and so relevant even today. But our education, I think we students, we teachers must reflect on them again and again, and then we'll find solutions. I think the solution to that problem of redesigning is that we have to redesign ourselves. I think you have to begin from those, as Mahatma Gandhi said, you begin from yourself, and the answer lies there. I remember, I think, way back, 700 years back, Saint Naneshwar, was the great saint of, I think, who brought before us the Marathi version of the great Bhagavad Gita, which is, I think, the universal universal message to the sorry. Sorry, it's a message for the entire humanity. So we are talking there, Saint Naneshwara talking, this world is my family. Now these words are coming from Saint Naneshwara. I think this whole world is my family. Can we get that feeling? Without that understanding, without that feeling, I think we cannot create a great world, because otherwise we are looking at saying that the whole divided. Each one of us is divided. Philosophically, however, is not terrible. And Shankaracharya tell that we all are one, and that feeling has to come. And there is a practice. You always talked about practice. You not talked about only the philosophies. How to attain that? How do we attain that? Is there a path to attain that? Can I attain that path? I think the messages have come from nothing from Bhagavad Gita itself, I think, or Gnaneshwari itself. I think we want to revisit. There are simple solutions like that. There are practices, simple solutions, which have come from, I think, from many saints of the world. I think many philosophers of the world. But we need to really revisit this in the today's context. I would say that kind of thing, as Sam said, that kind of, how did he accomplish so many things in such a life, and particularly when the pandemic has hit us very badly, and we said that now what need to be done, but you came and you took a new challenge of, I think, what will I do now? I think nothing. I have to be suppose confined to one place, follow those protocols and all that, confined to one place. But I want to. You said that you want to get engaged in something, doing something incredible. I think you didn't say that incredible. You wanted to engage yourself, and you decided to write a book. I think, and then came this redesign the world, and you didn't think of a subject. Subject was the entire world itself. I think I want to redesign. I think that boldness, that challenge, that brave statement, that I'm now beginning at the age of 78. I think when I'm going on 80s, I think I want to now re-begin again and redesign the world. And you're giving the architecture for that. So well written. I think so remarkably argued. I think I didn't know how. I also found myself, I can also share with you, that during the pandemic days, I found that these days have been, these 18 months for me, were also most productive days of my life. I think I would say that kind of thing. Because never before I had read so many books with such intensity, so many things. I started reading about the new architecture of the science itself that is coming as quantum thinking, quantum environments, and quantum computing that is following that kind of thing. It's a totally new way of thinking. We have never thought of this, and that is I think we are coming to human itself is evolving to that level. That whole, I think we are looking at that whole universe is one itself. I think we require that philosophy, and it is coming from science. It is coming from philosophy as well, and they are converging together. I think. But you said you are practical. You want to translate it into practical. We want to translate practical thing. So I think it's a time for all of us to rethink our, of course, we are thinking of education. We are thinking of the knowledge itself. What does knowledge mean? And what is an enlightened person? How does it look like? How does it behave? How does it behave? Kind of thing. So these fundamental questions which come, Vedic system of thinking. Who am I? I must ask that question. What is the purpose of my life? Where I'm going from here? I think all those questions that were asked, we need to revisit them. And you're given some directions what you thought. I think this book will be a book of transformation. And I don't know, I congratulate, but I'm really grateful to you. I think I'm grateful to Dr. Mashelkar and Abhay for inviting me for this thing. And this will be one of the really rare, inspiring book which raises questions boldly and compels us to find answers as we proceed further. So we think for a wonderful book, one bold book. I think what the questions you are raised, and not afraid of that we don't have answers. We are seeking answers. Most important, we are taking bold steps. We are taking steps to seeking answer, and also the thing that as you seek, you will be granted. I think both in Bible and we are saying Gita that answers will come to us, and hopefully will be a better society. I am very confident. I think you said that Dr. Mashelkar often argues that he's a dangerous optimist. You are more dangerous optimist. You always taken those challenges. You never were afraid of criticisms as they came in. They were unfair, but you faced them and came up with a very positive, I think, direction for the humanity. They had the planet scale, the entire planet scale, and we can find solution. You will inspire. Many young people are listening to you today, and I think they will inspire many people across the world. I think, and we will seek solutions. We will find them and try to create a better world for the whole humanity. Wonderful. Congratulations for the great book which you have brought before us. And you are asking for a call to action, not just being a mute spectator to the whole thing. Call to action. We have to create action. That society which you will inspire, you are inspired in us. Thank you very much. And I wish grand success for this great book, which will change the vision of many people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Bhatkar. Thank you for your generous comments. Appreciate your presence here. I know you're all busy people, but I'm delighted that you could all join. And I look forward to listening and interacting with larger audience. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Bhatkar, and thank you, Dr. Petroda. Truly, as Dr. Bhatkar said, this is a very inspiring book. And we have a number of questions, Dr. Petroda. One from Professor Abhay Pethe, where he asks that notwithstanding the inward turning movement in many countries leading to ultra-nationalism, are we close to a tipping point where nation states will or should lose their relevance? This is the question from Professor Pethe.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an important question. I believe the process has already started. The question is how long it is going to take. Every digital citizen lives in multiple countries. Today, I can live in America, work for India, be concerned about Mexico, buy a product from Brazil, pay it in EU currency. What does residency mean? What does nationality mean in today's term? What are the obligations, rules, responsibilities, and role of a digital citizen? So I think boundaries have one meaning and our activities have different meaning because our activities now cut across boundaries. Earlier, your work was connected to your physical residency. Now your work is delinked from your physical residency. When your work is delinked, your income is delinked. When your income is delinked, your tax has to be delinked. So there are all kinds of complicated issues that we haven't thought through yet. We are just learning. So we have set up a small group, global group now. There are 5 of us. And for last several months, we have been working on the roles and obligations of digital citizen. The human rights that we have outlined in the UN. How do these human rights relate to digital nationality? So I think borders have different meaning today. I don't have to be committed to one nation. I could be committed to multiple nations. Okay. And it's okay for me to take a stand which is against some nation if they are not following rules of humanity, if they are not respecting planet. That doesn't mean anti-national. There is no such thing as anti-national. Unless you are a spy, you are really hurting some people. Your views expressed have to be much broader. So I agree that over a period of time, first of all, we must recognize that the concept of nation is only a couple of 100 years old, few 100 years. Earlier, you could go anywhere, travel any place. Look at the migration of people in this world. Just look at India, how people came in from all over the world, settled there, assimilated. They came from every part of the world. Yeah? And that's what Indian genetic pool is, the diversity. There is no such thing as original Indian. They all came from Africa, they all came from Europe, they all came from somewhere. Okay. So to be able to say that we are India doesn't make sense anymore. Okay. Take, for example, America. People from all over the world came to America. So when early settlers were displaced, Red Indians were displaced by people coming from Europe, shot them, killed them, and now they say this is our America. Not true. America belongs to a lot many more people. So I think we have to broaden our definition, our mind, our soul. Linked to this is the question of how do we change? If we don't change, nothing is going to change. If we remain parochial, nationalist, dividing societies, believing in very hardcore values, have only one identity, that I am only this, we're going to be in for a trouble. We need multiple identities to diffuse our tension and stress. People get into trouble only when they have single identity or limited identity. Then they become radical. They take it too seriously. So fundamental issues are really truth and absolute truth. To me, that's a starting point in life. If you don't believe in truth, I cannot have a dialogue with you, because my dialogue with you will be always shifting. You'll say one thing now, you'll say something else later on, and we have no common base to relate. So I start change by believing in truth and absolute truth. 2, trust. I want to trust you. I don't want to start with mistrust, because by trusting people, you can get more done. By mistrusting people, you spend too much time in finding the trust. 3, love. I got to love everybody. I got to love my book. I got to love my enemy. I got to love, rich, poor, urban, rural, old, young. And in love comes equality, respect, dignity. Then I need to believe in diversity. I'm happy that we are all different. I'm happy that you speak Marathi and I speak Gujarati and somebody speaks Tamil. I'm happy that we all eat different food, different music, different songs, different, dress. That is the beauty of this world. If we were all same, it will be so boring. So I celebrate diversity. I want freedom. I want you to have same freedom I have. I want to be able to sit across table with you and discuss and debate and learn and not argue and fight and try to prove my point all the time. These are fundamental changes that we need to make. If we believe in these changes, we'll open our doors and our hearts to people. If we don't believe in this, we will not open our hearts and doors to people. And we will suffer in the long run. So the change has to come from within by agreeing to follow simple rules in life. And life is not too complicated. You don't need to read management books and go through training courses on this. Our great grandparents knew all this. My grandfather could not read or write, but he understood all of these ideas very clearly. So I think there is a lot of wisdom in our tradition. And for that, you don't need to study religion. You don't need to go look at history. You just have to listen to your family values. And I think we tend to make things very complicated. For me to change, I need to believe in something. If I don't believe in those values, very difficult to have a conversation. That's all. So thank you for the question.
Yeah, sir. This is truly a very fascinating interaction and a conversation and a discussion that we are having. The first question, your reply leads us to the second question from Mr. Vivek Kulkarni. You are essentially speaking of a paradigm shift, of a major paradigm shift that the world needs. And his question is, can global calamities like the pandemic and climate change lead to a global citizenship and a global constitution? Can spirituality play a role in creating institutions?
I believe that it is time to really agree to some kind of minimum understanding on global constitution. I agree with your thought in the question that global calamities will bring us together. It happens in the family. When families are torn apart, if there is a calamity, families come together. So human family will come together under calamities like corona crisis. So I agree that we need to first decide that we need to save our planet. That's an agreement we could develop. Everybody should agree. The degree of agreement may change. 2, we must respect other human beings. We must treat people with dignity, respect. 3, we need to give everybody opportunity. There are 10 fundamental issues that we can come to and say that is the global constitution. If you look at constitutions of the world, there is democratic constitution, there is authoritarian constitution, there is constitution based on religions. Okay. And you look at all these and say, what is common? If you look at all the religions, they all talk about love. They all talk about respect. They all talk about, values. Our interpretation keeps changing. So I think it is time to look at global constitution and at some point in time, even global government. But global government doesn't imply setting up a big, parliament and all that. Okay. For example, I was just told yesterday that we are trying to expand our parliament to 1,000 people. Some informal conversation came up yesterday on phone with somebody. And I said, look, I would rather decentralize and have more government representation at district level and let district focus on development and not centralize, because hyperconnectivity is going to force you to decentralize. So don't try to centralize things. It won't work in a hyperconnected world. You need government at district level. You need district to decide on education, health, policies, and all that. District should decide which road to build and not Delhi, as an example. Same is true in America, same is true in Brazil, and same is true in EU. So I think we must recognize that the hyperconnectivity is going to have profound impact on our work. The idea of work is going to change. You won't have 9 to 5 work. You won't have 40 hours a week work. You won't have pension, retirement benefit, and permanent job. That's gone. That's over. I talk about this in the book, in the chapter on innovation. When self-driven car becomes a reality, which is not probably more than 10 years, no one will own a car. You can order your car, whatever car you want, on a cell phone. Why do you want to own a car? You don't need driver's license. You don't need garage. You don't need parking space. In addition, you won't have to manufacture 50 million cars a year, because 90% of the time, car is parked. So you'll produce only 5 million cars a year. That means jobs in the auto industry will be reduced to 10%, not by 10%, but to 10%. We won't need that much steel, leather, plastic, whatever. What does job mean in this kind of a system? Hyperconnectivity is going to demonetize services. Education, you don't need $200,000 to get an MBA. You can get an online MBA. May not be 100% like Harvard MBA, but it'll be 60, 70% for maybe $1,000. Education is going to be demonetized. Transportation will be demonetized, which is already happening with Uber of the world. Energy will be demonetized. Telecom is almost free anyway. Today we can have these kinds of conversations for nothing. So you will create a world where we all have enough time to explore new frontiers, think, discuss, debate, understand each other. And we won't need as much money as we need today to survive a normal life. So all these changes are coming. Accept it, embrace it, and move on.
Thank you, sir. Your thought on collaboration, cooperation, and co-creation as the need of the future has been echoing in the questions that we have been receiving. And sir, this question from Mr. Rajwade and Ms. Sujata Watwe is about how do we strengthen the bottom-up approach starting from the village level to address the issue of inequality and, of course, address the needs of the world.
I think a lot of these things require a new education paradigm. People at village level are smart. Don't underestimate their intelligence. They are also cooperative because they live next to each other. They need to share. So village and district, taluka, block is a good enough minimum critical mass to bring about generational change. But that can only come if we empower them. If we don't empower them and control everything and decide everything at the center, it is not going to work. All our decision making, for example, education, all education policies are decided in Delhi. Absolutely wrong. You got to give flexibility to local people. How could a salary of a teacher be same all over the country? Education and health should be turned over to communities. And this whole idea of assuming that everything will become efficient if it is privatized is also wrong. You need certain things in public sector and you need certain things in private sector. And that experiment goes on forever. Nothing is black and white. Everything is shade of gray. And it is the ability to decide which shade of gray in what area is the challenge for the leadership. You can't say private sector is good, public sector is bad. There is no such thing. You can't say all decentralization is good. You need certain things centralized. Defense cannot be decentralized. Okay, foreign policy cannot be decentralized. But education can be, health can be, building of roads can be. Today we are full of this idea of command and control. I will control. I am the leader. I know all the answers. It's all bogus. Okay. These people need to be told and understood that power lies with people. And you got to really empower people. You got to make them feel good. You got to give them tools to decide on their own destiny. And that's what democracy is all about. If you don't believe in democracy, we don't have much to talk.
So Mr. Arun Waklu shares your thought about, and of course, a number of our other listeners, about the need for a new paradigm for a better world. And his question is that while redesigning the world will be possible only if a massive change takes place in the paradigm worldview underlying our thoughts, what are your thoughts on how an inner transformation in the world can happen?
It can only happen if enough of us transform ourselves. Like Dr. Bhatkar said, it has to start from within. I have to change. Gandhiji talked about this all the time. If I don't change, how do I expect others to change? And what do you want me to change? And I'm saying very simple stuff. Don't complicate life. Don't read theses and go into history and say Ram said this and Hanuman said that and forget it all about that. Just say, I will stick to truth. I will trust fellow human beings. I will love everybody. I will empower people. I will be inclusive in mind. If somebody is different, it's okay. If somebody eats something different, that's okay. Somebody sings something different, that's perfectly all right. You know, if somebody likes this book and I don't like that book, that's perfectly okay. Celebrate diversity. Respect other human beings. Don't say he's Harijan and I won't drink his water. I mean, what kind of attitude is that in 2021? Okay. So if you follow these 5, 7, 10 things yourself, you have changed. But make sure you practice that in a very visible way. Okay. And enough of us change like that, the world will change. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. In fact, the big question that is running through all the questions that we have received is how do we make the change happen? And in fact, in the last chapter of your book, I wish to mention in chapter 10, a manifesto to redesign the world. Dr. Pitroda says this point that has been stressed by him and by Dr. Bhatkar. And he quotes Mahatma Gandhi, where he says, "Be the change you wish to see in this world." And this is there in this in the
No, it's
last
not
chapter.
rocket science. It's not rocket science, I'm telling you. And not only that I have to change, but I also have to make sure that my family changes. My friends change. My neighborhood change. If you start that process, world will be very different. You know, I know in my own family, it is very difficult to change. My views are very different than some of my family members. Okay. So it's an uphill battle. You got to change the hearts and minds of people. Hearts and minds of people are divided, close. And all we need is open it up and saying it's okay for you to disagree with me. I love you, irrespective of what you believe in. Okay? Because we are both human beings.
Indeed, number of questions will stand answered in this book, and I would strongly urge all our listeners who are interested in this topic and in taking this forward to go through the book and see the thoughts presented by Dr. Pitroda. We are close to the end of our session, and I would like to request Dr. Bhatkar to please make his concluding remarks. Dr. Bhatkar, over to you.
Can I, before Dr. Bhatkar says, can I take a minute?
Please, sir.
Yes.
I once again want to thank Dr. Maselkar, Dr. Bhatkar, and Abhay for organizing this session, moderating this session, and facilitating this conversation. I want to thank all those people who participated. Unfortunately, I couldn't see many of them, but I really appreciate your time and your interest. I know it is an uphill battle. I know this is an idea. I know this is not easy to implement, but you got to start somewhere. And I'm delighted that you've given me this opportunity to have a conversation with you. Thank you.
Sam, I think
Please, Dr.
we are so grateful to you for your thoughts, which are always open, which are always inclusive, which are solution finding. And you have given architecture for that. I would say the last line, what you said, is so pervasive for the humanity. We ought to love each other. I think first thing is the message is that we must open our heart. And I think that our architecture of humanity, that heart is very big, can accommodate, I think, entire universe, I think, philosophically. And that's what need to be done. It's very simple in one way, and it's extremely difficult in another way. I think the choice is before us. And you said that if you don't do this, I think you have chosen the very precious life for a wrong purpose. I think we have to make the choice. Why am I here for? I think that question needs to be answered, which are asked by all sages and all great wise people on the earth. And we are not We know the answers. We don't. I think we need to practice that, and that's what Mahatma Gandhi said. I think. So wonderful thoughts which you share with us in a current context, and also put questions before us, and said that we must have open mind to just look at them and find solutions to us, to each one of us, and to the world. Thank you. Wonderful book. Thank you for this wonderful book and wonderful thoughts, which will inspire many people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Sir, just a few words more. Thank you very much, Dr. Bhatkar, for chairing this session. And thank you, Dr. Petroda, for these critical thoughts from you of using hyper connectivity to do things that we have never done before, to think of planet and people as the two of the most important things that matter. And finally, focusing on collaboration, cooperation, and co-creation as the models for the future. I wish to thank all our participants for attending this session and for asking their questions and for enriching this discussion, and to my colleagues Amresh and Kiran for their back-end support. And thank you very much also to Dr. Mashelkar for his opening remarks and for making this session possible, because he was the one who connected with Dr. Petroda, and that's how we have organized this session. Finally, thank you very much. A good day to you, Dr. Petroda, and a very good evening to all our friends in India. Thank you very much.